What's up, women of Exodus? I'm your girl, Kid,
And I'm Fox.
and this is our premiere episode of Beauty from Ashes.
Yay!
Yay!
Welcome, 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 woman of Exodus. We are going to get right into it. We want to introduce ourselves, tell you a little bit more about ourselves, and why we are introducing you as one of Exodus.
Yes, yes. So, this space that Fox and I created for it started out as a created, a safe space for ourselves, but we figured why not invite, the rest of the women in. I'm sure we're not the only ones on the planet that are thinking and feeling these things, and we decided why not share. So, we're bringing you all into our world, our journey. As beauty industry professionals, and just wanted to share with you what goes on when the makeup comes off.
Mm,
Right,
hmm
Fox? Like, what is
It
that
is
like?
the ugly behind beauty, the things that we do not discuss, we're too ashamed to discuss, the just the trials that go on behind what we see on media and what we see when we are thriving in our careers. Those
Hmm.
things.
Yeah, I think these things are it's the part that goes on in the beauty world that nobody likes to talk about. I feel like in the world that we live in now of Instagram and filters and all of those things, we don't talk enough about what life is really like behind the lashes, the lipstick, in the foundations, the heavy contour, honey. Like what really goes on, the ugly behind the beauty, right? Not just professionally, but also personally. When we think about what makeup does for us, like Fox and I can probably go on for days, and talk about like how beauty has influenced our lives, and the part it has played in our own becoming. But I think it's interesting, and I thought it would be a little bit more interesting, for both of us to kind of check in with some of the rest of the women out here in the world. So when we talk about or refer to our audience as women of Exodus, when we think about what the meaning of Exodus is, right? In the grand scheme of things, Exodus is about mass departure. So how fitting would it be for us to just really kind of dive into our audience and just really get away from beauty for 2 seconds, in the sense of who am I without all of this? Who am I? What effect beauty has on me personally. Now I know for me, it's a confidence builder. I love it. I love everything about beauty. I want all the lipsticks. I want all the gloss. I want all the shininess, honey. I want all of the things. But it's nothing like at the end of my day coming home and just taking everything off. Right? I don't know how you feel about that, Fox,
I
but
definitely agree. I call it getting ugly. And it's not that I feel
not getting ugly.
it's not that I feel ugly without it, because trust me, I know that I'm beautiful, and we'll get into that a little bit more later also. I just, because of, again, we're talking about how we've been socialized to believe what beauty is, and we're going to
Right,
also talk about that in a moment. So
right.
yeah, when I come home, I call it getting ugly. I take off my makeup, and honey, I'm comfortable, and I got ugly. So but let's introduce, who we are as experts, as professionals in this industry, and then we're just going to get right into
Our
our
street
topic of
cred.
today. Yes, our street cred.
What makes us experts?
Yes.
So for me, I think this is probably where this is the arena where most people know me. Is in the beauty industry. This is what? Oh my gosh, this is year. I'm going into year 26 in the beauty world. This is look, baby, and I'm gonna just share with y'all, women of Exodus. This has not been easy, like I love, and it does my heart good to see, how beauty has just taken on a whole life of itself now from when I started in the industry. I have to say, I didn't even think that I could make a career for myself or a living with, in the beauty industry. But look, here I am, 25 plus years later. Um, I started, my background comes from music videos. So when I left Buffalo and moved to, actually, backtrack a little bit, because see, I didn't come straight from Buffalo to Atlanta. I went from Buffalo to Virginia, where I was briefly at Hampton University, and then I left and went to Atlanta, where I finished off at Morris Brown College in the AUC. So shout out to Moby. uh, so I started in the music video scene. So my brother and I both begun, we both began our careers, and around 95, early 96ish, in the music video scene. My brother was into video and film, and it was only right, he was like, hey, you do makeup, come on, let's, work together. So that's what we did. And from there, going from music videos to beauty retail, it was two different worlds for me. And the switch for me happened, just wanted to learn a little bit more about the business side of beauty, because when I started, we were getting paid for what we're doing, but were we getting paid what we're worth? Probably not. So for me, it took on just like wanting to learn more about the business side of beauty. So I had my foot in both worlds, beauty retail as well as freelance at the same time. So in everything that I learned, straddling both, straddling the fence of both of those worlds, I just thought, I was like, it was only my duty. I had to feel like I had to share with other makeup artists that I was working with, like, yo, like, this is what I've learned, or this is what I've experienced, and I'll be completely honest, like we said, we're going to be, real raw and rugged with this thing on here. So y'all get into it. Not every makeup artist is as forthcoming and willing to help, so because of that, this is, kind of where I've gotten to today. My mom was also a beauty industry professional. She ran and operated her own business for as long as I've been alive. She was a hairstylist, so it was only right that I kind of got into it. She was never a big makeup wearer, but for me, I don't know how I even got there, but I just felt like I wanted to wear lipstick because I saw her wear it, and then I'm like, oh, well, it comes in colors. But at the time, it really didn't. It was kind of like me taking eyeliners and scribbling all over my lips with it, right? And trying different things. Because at the time, I was like, 20, almost 25 years ago, wearing blue lipstick. They were like, girl, what are you going through? But hello, where are we now, right? Like, I've never seen lipstick come in so many colors. So, I like to think of myself as a little bit of a trailblazer. I don't know, but you know. So, but it was like like I said, for me, beauty is just it was just inevitable. It was part of my DNA. So, and I still love it to this day. So
That's
that's
what's
kind
up.
of.
And I think that a lot of, I know for me, before I got into this industry, that honestly, to me, that was the goal, right? And
Mhm.
I talked to other professionals, like my cousin, she's a global fashion designer, and she has her own business, and she
Mhm.
mentors. And so we talk about like how we have one perspective about a business, but really when we get into our careers, we learn about these several perspectives about a business.
Yep.
So for me, when I was younger and when I first started in this industry, that's what I was thinking, was like, the way to make the money is to be on video sets and to be with celebrities, and that's how I'm gonna make this money. And it's like, no, there's so much more to it, so
Absolutely.
I'll get into a little bit about how I got into this industry. I actually was modeling, and I had aspiring
You're
models.
holding out, Fox. You never shared that with me. Like, really?
I did. So yes, I was an
Mhm.
aspiring model. I always had a corporate career, so I modeling, makeup artistry was always secondary because my father really emphasized having a business mindset, because art, he didn't want me to be a starving artist per se, right?
Mhm.
So I started off modeling, and then I had a great experience with a makeup artist, and I was like, no, I like to eat, so I just, artistry, artistry comes
Modeling off the
naturally,
menu. French fries, please.
right? Like, artistry comes natural. So let me just go ahead and get into this. And it wasn't until after I had a battle with breast cancer at 26,
Hmm.
right before I was going to open a secondary office, a secondary insurance office for the agent that I was working for at the time. After that battle, I was like, I'm wasting my life. Like, granted, overall, I'm a pretty pleasant person, but this is not where I want to be. This is not how I'm making the biggest impact in the world. This is not how I'm leaving my mark. So I quit with no plan. I was homeless for a short spell, like,
Just
and I
over.
just yeah. And then, but during that time, during that transition, like I did, I sought retail, like you said, retail beauty.
Mhm.
Um, and then I was an on-call assistant for a celebrity artist. So I was like back and forth to the fashion districts, borrowing money so I can be on set on time. Like I was hungry because again, to me, that's what I felt the money was. And it wasn't until like later on that I was like, okay, you can stick into retail, you can really expand yourself, learn more. There's so much you can learn.
Right.
You can learn about brands, you can learn about ingredients, you can learn about
Fact.
application, mastery classes. Like these are the skills that you can really, hone before
Right.
if you want to go that route. Because honestly, if this is where I'm at right now, I didn't again, you just don't think about the full picture of it. And
Because we
to
didn't know, right? We didn't
right.
know how big this was going to be.
So right, and then so to rewind too, because like I said, I was juggling my corporate career and my artistry career, and
Yep.
so I was doing fashion shows, etc. And then when I had my cancer battle, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay it forward because no one knew that I was going through it because I had eyebrows, and it was just like, okay, she's bald because she's eccentric. It's Fox, like she's a little out there, and it's I promised myself that I would pay it forward. So fast forward today. I, am a national beauty ambassador. I share artistry classes that are complimentary through another company and privately on my own with other survivors that I connect with on my platform, and just continue to expand and grow and learn. I went to school for skincare also because that's what was encouraged for my breast cancer
Hmm.
journey. But yeah, just again, the whole picture. There's so much to learn, there's so much you can do, and there's so much you can definitely, at least for me, make an impact through beauty. And it's such, like you said in the beginning, such an
Agreed.
underrated experience. People just think, oh, you're not going to make money. Sometimes it's not always about the outcome, it's really about like what you're putting into it and how you're impacting people. And yes, the money
Yep.
does come when you're in alignment with mission. The money comes. So I first of all applaud you.
Woo, say that part.
Okay. Now, when I first met Kid and she shared with me, yeah, I've been in this industry for 25 years, I was like, oh my God, because people, again, assume you're not making money. Why are you doing this? And so it was very encouraging for me to stick to it because, again, it's in
Yeah.
alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, part of this too, which we're going to get into, is really to encourage you to stay on track with your dream, with your goals, and really help to expand your perspective of this industry. Also, because now we're going to get right into our topic for today, which is, the again, the ugly behind beauty, going deeper than the surface, than being on set or, garnering these certificates and licenses, right? So,
Absolutely. So I
what
think,
oh, I'm so sorry.
no, go ahead.
I
Go
was going to
ahead.
say, what is beauty? What to you, or, well, what does the dictionary say beauty is?
Oh God. You know, I'm that person, like I feel like I really have to, I get into it a little bit with when it comes to definition of things. So I'm natural by nature, just a little bit of a rebel. But when we talk about what beauty is just like those things that are aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So things that we look at and we think that are just that captivate us, or just kind of bring us into just something that we're in awe of when when we look at it physically, right? Physically. So when we think about beauty, it's more about what do we believe is pretty? What's aesthetically pleasing to us? Like what when we look at it, we're like, oh, this he or she is just really beautiful. But I don't know. Like I feel like for me, my definition of beauty has evolved in the time that I have been in this industry. Now, by by all traditional industry standards, beauty is has been for such a long time, and I'm saying this especially as a darker skinned woman, because it has not been what we would have loved it to be now. Um, I think about beauty, or like back in my day, what beauty was to me, were the Halle Berrys of the world, the Stacey Dashes, all of those, all of the, like with the keen features, the pretty, light skin, fair skin, like when I was in high school, those were the girls who were, all the guys were salivating after, so, but when I look in the mirror, it just wasn't, I wasn't that standard, I'm darker skinned. My features aren't as keen, I'm a full figure woman, so I'm a little curvier. Um, so I didn't have, like, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see those standards, those social standards that were imposed on us, coming up, fast forward till now. When I think about beauty, beauty is so much deeper than just the surface for me. I feel like it has a lot to do with, you know, the emotional or the spiritual side of somebody as well too, because all of that that's in you, sometimes it comes out. It comes out.
I 100%
I think,
agree.
coming from, being a teenage girl, to a grown woman now, like being able to manage all of those things, it determines whether or not how beauty you are. I think beauty is pain, beauty is trauma, beauty is frustration, but it's also, like, grand scheme of things, it's acceptance. It's all about being accepted when it comes to beauty. Am I beautiful enough? Which ironically, this is um the topic of our premiere show today, being beautiful enough. Like, what does that look like? What does that mean? So beautiful enough, like, have you ever felt like that though, Facts? Like, when you, like, look in the mirror, I don't know, like, how you feel about it today, but when I think about it, I'm like, okay, we've all, I feel like, had those moments where, like, okay, am I cute enough? Do I look a certain way? Questioning.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely about acceptance, and more so like accepting yourself. I know, like, growing up though, I wasn't so much that, I wish that I was someone else, because I can't imagine what that would be like, but I know for
Mm,
sure that I didn't want to be ugly. So, I've been called ugly well into my 20s. People were just like, I mean,
right.
in my face, you're ugly. And I just, it wasn't until after I went through cancer that I was just like, okay, now I really see what beauty is. Beauty is, strength. Beauty is vulnerability. Like you said, it's pain, it's endurance, it's overcoming, it's growth. It's how I'm able to grow through these
Hmm.
experiences that are not so pleasant. Childhood trauma, not pleasant, and that comes into your adult life. Cancer was not pleasant.
Right.
Autoimmune disease, where all my hair fell out again, and I couldn't walk. Like, those, like, weren't pleasant experiences. But what I learned about myself was, despite what I'm going through, I'm still kind. Despite what I'm going through, I'm still prayerful, and those were the things that really helped me to see that I was beautiful. Now, if I were to talk to my younger self, I would encourage her and say, listen, you are
Man.
beautiful. Actually, everything that separates you from the Halle Berrys, from the Stacey Dashes, from
Mhm.
everything that we've been socialized to believe is beautiful for
Right.
Black women, because you have to understand too that there's still a distinction. There is what's beautiful, which is 100% the European standard, which is, long flowing hair, a
White
very
beauty,
narrow
right?
nose, right?
Absolutely.
Versus what's acceptably beautiful for Black women, which is still it's still a struggle today, because still, if you look at what's promoted, all of our faves have a certain look. The ones that are promoted the most have a certain look. So when I think about, okay,
Hmm.
well, what makes me beautiful? It's actually everything that stands out, that sets me apart. It's the gap in my teeth. It's the how broad my nose is. It's my complexion. It's how
Yo.
red I get in the summertime, and how it's so many things. And
All the things that you were, like, really kind of growing up, like, teased about, made to feel ashamed about, made to second guess. I never thought my gap was beautiful until probably maybe just a few years ago. Like, that. I even acknowledge that because you, like you said, coming up when you were, younger, those are the things that people made you really feel insecure about,
Yep. And
like
I
your
didn't think
complexion.
that my gap was beautiful until I saw a picture of my grandmother, my
Mm,
mother's mother. And I saw one, we have the same face. And I was like, so it's important to know where you come from, because even too, like when I was going through cancer, I did my DNA testing and I learned that I am Nigerian, more specifically Yoruba, and I look like the woman over there. And those women are exalted as beautiful. And that really boosted my confidence too. So when I think about, beauty and what is beauty, yes, I understand, that it's definitely what's inside. And it took those
right.
painful experiences and how I grew through those experiences to be like, okay, no, I'm beautiful because I'm this. And then, yes, because aesthetics is also important too, because we live in a world that is physical. We live in a 3D world where we are using our eyes. And so it's just like, what am I doing, like you said, to boost my confidence? Learning where I came from boosted my confidence, and doing things that please me, whether I cut my hair off because I'm good for it, honey. So whether I cut my hair all off, whether I cut it all off or whether I want it,
Same,
Marty
same.
hair down to my waist the next day, it's all about what makes me feel good. It's about me and not about the world. And
And that
that,
changes, right? It changes
yes,
every day.
yes,
I think you make a good point. Like we're both, one and the same when it comes to that, especially with that, so with the hairstyles. One minute I'll, have hair out to here, next minute it'll be down to the floor. 2 seconds later, it might be blonde, purple, or red. I don't know. It really does depend a lot on maybe what I'm going through at the time. I can probably recall even for myself, like many times where I've shaved my own heads, like many a times just because I needed some type of release, and it had nothing to do with physically. It was internally for me, things that I was dealing with or going through at the time, whatever transition. So all of those things that affect, the outer beauty, uh, definitely start from the inside on a lot of levels. So, and I think you touched on so many things in just in just the few the things that you just said. Like it's a mindset. When we think about it, like how do you perceive yourself when you look in the mirror? What do you see? Not what everybody else sees, because we're subject to that all day long. And
mhm,
I think we're even more subjected to it now, with the world that we live in now, of world of social media and the internet. Like everything is permanent, so we have to be careful what we say, what we don't say, about anything, because everybody is just so sensitive to so many things, which some are definitely warranted and validated, but others is kind of like, okay, y'all, like we take it in a little too much of what other people think and feel about things. So how do we get past that? Like how do you get past that for yourself? Because for me it's definitely meditation. I love that you talked about getting into knowing yourself. What are your own triggers to kind of set you, make you go left, right? And so meditation and prayer has helped me tremendously, because I'm sure I could probably speak for my mom. Like as a teenager, I used to wild out like about so many things, and it had nothing to do with being cute, and everything to do with what I was going through here.
right.
So
I think for me, the overcoming piece was like, honestly, the word that you use is acceptance.
mm,
I know, I was estranged from my mother growing up, and we
mhm.
reunited. And, my father, he did the best that he could, but men aren't really thinking about, I need to tell my daughter she's beautiful. Like, he's just like, look, I'm raising you and I'm giving you these skills and I'm pouring this knowledge into
Right.
you. The perspective is different. And so I learned, especially as an adult, look, don't seek validation, and it's not to say that my father doesn't think I'm beautiful. It's just the fact that
Yeah.
I have to know that I'm beautiful. And to be 100% transparent, I still some days wake up, I'm like, oh, girl, you need to get it together. You better find something. You better get it together. better find.
Okay. Oh.
Yes, find something, because there's beauty in everything. And if I could find beauty in others, which in this industry, and I think that, you could speak more to this too, when you're working on set with these aesthetically beautiful women, and then you
Oh,
see
yeah,
and you
yeah,
learn, you hear
yeah,
them speak, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
wait,
yeah, yeah,
so if I
yeah.
could find the beauty in someone else, there's definitely something I should be able to find within me. And so let's talk about that a little bit too. When we look at something and we're like, wow, it's beautiful. Or like, think of like a meal. It looks so good and you bite it and it's nasty.
Right. I think as a my degree was in hospitality management, so it was all about presentation. I think so, and I still get into that and live by that. Even to this day. But to your point, if I, going back to where my career started, like I said, being on the music video sets, and with the at the time what they were called video vixens, right? So, but one thing that I had the experience of being on set with these girls, and I think it's interesting the views that we have before you get to know people, or before you are exposed to everybody's why. Because the one thing I do believe, we all have a story. We all have a story, and why we do the things we do, and why we make the decisions that we make. And that's gonna be a whole nother show, Women of Exodus. So we'll get into that too. But a lot of these young girls at the time, a lot of them were putting themselves through college. Like, who knew? I think for some of us that are a little bit more ignorant to what that life is like, they automatically judge them, because these are women that we're looking at, they're getting naked, they got to be looked at, it's voyeuristic type of environment. But it was such a flip side to that, talking to them and working with them, that, most of them, it was a hustle for them. It was a way that they knew, some of them, it was a thing of that they had to go through to feel like they were beautiful in a sense, because it allowed them to be viewed in a certain way. But I know a lot of them, and worked with a lot of those girls that were just like, yo, most of them had to like be drunk out of their mind, high out of their mind, just to get through the night, because it wasn't really what they needed to be doing.
Right,
It's more about what they had to do.
right.
And then how and then just watching how the men would interact with them on set, like even the talent, sometimes it would just be like, it was a point for me that I'm just like, ugh, it was too much. It was too much, not only for me, but just how I felt for them as well too. So I think just the aesthetic, they look good. The skin, the beautiful, the shapeliness, all of those things. But those girls went through some stuff, mentally and spiritually, to even allow themselves to be in that space. So, you know, shout out to the ATL, because they, like, I learned so much. I learned so much, in being in that part of my beauty story, evolving to the business side of it. Like you said, like I can't even think for me now, like what I wouldn't, things that I would have probably done differently, not only in my career, but when we think about what beauty looks like. And everybody at that time, it was the long hair, the straight hair, the 30 inches down to the back of your knees to be able to swing it. But I think for us, going back to when we talk about what beauty looked like, that, like the whole natural hair movement, girl, I didn't feel pretty unless I had a weave.
That's a
And
fact.
that's just facts, like I said, I think I've been wearing one since I was 11 years old. And the first time that I actually stepped away and was like, you know what, no more, I'm done, it was my 30th birthday, Fox.
Wow.
That was the first time that I had ever felt comfortable enough in my own skin to not, to
Wow.
go out or feel like I can still be pretty without one. 30 years
Wow.
old. Like, come on, man.
And I'll share a secret too about hair. I I was so into seeming perfect once I really learned the skill of doing my own hair that I would do my hair at night. I wouldn't even let my family see me without my hair done. I would do my hair in the middle of the night. And if it
Mm-hmm.
didn't come out the way I wanted it to, I would, guess what? When everybody went back to sleep, I would do it again. And I would be so frustrated if somebody needs to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. I was so happy when we moved and we had more than one bathroom because it's just like, I don't need y'all. Don't look at me, you know?
Right.
And so I think that too, it's, not only, which we're going to get into more, but that mindset piece. And we have just so many topics. We are prepared to really, again, bring you, it's a mass exodus. We want to bring you from this mind state of what beauty is, so that when you are in this industry or
Yeah.
whatever industry you're seeking, you have the mindset that's fortified and that is really solidified in knowing that you are worthy, you are enough, and moreover, you are beautiful enough. Okay, so we want
Yes.
you, Woman of
Yes.
Exodus, to sound off in the comments. We want you to share this first episode, this premiere episode. And what's significant about this episode is it is the last day of Women's History Month.
Yes.
Okay, and we were intentional about
Deliberate.
that. Yes, we were intentional about that because we already know the impact we're making in real life. That's another thing too, the illusion of social media. There's the
Mm-hmm.
illusion. I've seen pages that have 1.1 million followers and they have 2 likes. Okay, so we're not talking about the illusion of social media. We're talking about the impact we're making in real life. And Kid and I are definitely making an impact in real life. And so we really wanted to create a safe space where we can talk about that and we can encourage you to make this impact in real life. And part of that is how your mind is and how your spirit is, especially in this industry that is so beautiful, but also could be so
Real
very
ugly, real
ugly.
cutthroat. Yeah, yep, all of those things. And I have to back you up, Foxy, when you talk about the safe space. I know this is going to be put out into the world, for people to comment, add their perspective on things. And I think that that's the beauty of what it is that we're trying to do. Like Fox said, we really want to not only encourage other women to really feel and be beautiful and walk in your greatness, because I think there's so many of those things, that those hangups, those little things that gnaw away at us in the back of our minds about who we are and how we present, that keep us from being our most ultimate, or even keep us from being our authentic selves. And this is the part too where Fox and I really want to celebrate being our authentic selves. So you might get a little griminess, you might get some tears, you might get some laughter, you might get some deep shit on here, from us. So whatever your takeaway is from that, like one thing that we all ask is just that we respect that, because this is that safe space. We wanted to make sure that we created a moment where everybody can be vulnerable. You can take off the hair, you can take off the lipstick and the mask of the makeup and just be who you are. Because I think there's more often than not those are times when we're all in that same space together, and we don't want it to be a situation where there's a woman out there that does feel alone, that she can't be herself at any given time, because it's exhausting feeling like you having to be on all the time.
Yes, it is.
Like we want to be those women that are supporting other women to just sit back, take off your cape, and just be you.
Yeah.
um so we
So,
just ask that everybody that comes to our platform respect that. Respect that.
yes.
Because we're going to get in some really vulnerable, really some really naked spaces, for ourselves. And we just ask that you respect that for not just us, but for every woman that comes to this platform.
And let's just really briefly, before we tell you how often you can tune into us and the platforms you can find us, just to touch on what that respect looks like. This means, because this is a platform, if you know someone who's on here, don't run tell their business. Mind your business. Secondly, if someone's commenting something and they're very vulnerable about it, if you have some feedback you want to give, be encouraging, be kind, do not be nasty, because again, we are here to build each other up, to fortify each other. So we want to,
Facts.
again, create a safe space. Again, it's the last day of Women's History Month. We are powerful beings. And if you look at our Instagram, which is at with Kid and Fox, so that's WITHKIDDANDFOX, you will be able to see what we believe and what we feel about being women and a few other questions we answered so you can get to know us as the experts. Anything else you want to add before we close up today?
I just want to encourage, like not only in the Instagram platform, but like even on our YouTube channel here, like be able to, like Fox said, drop in those comments, ask the questions because we will be looking forward to them. So, and we do plan to be able to address those questions. We have some really exciting episodes. So, this is only part one of Beautiful Enough,
Yes.
because we still have some other things that we wanted to really get into, But so we're gonna take this episode into part two of Beautiful Enough. But we just thought that would be fitting to just get into that. But also because I know there's some people that came to our platform, they, like I said, they know us as beauty industry professionals and thinking they're going to get makeup and makeup tutorials, all that. Ladies, it's coming. I promise you, there's no way that you're going to come to our page and not get all of this fabulousness at the same time. Okay, so be all right with it because we're gonna get into some brushes and some beat, ladies, so don't worry
Yes.
about that. So we just wanted to give you a little bit more than what you were coming here and expecting from us, so I'm excited about that part too.
Yes. So subscribe, share, like, comment. You can also email
Subscribe,
us if you
share,
like.
like, comment, subscribe, share, like, comment, all those things. Okay, I'm
So
back.
yeah. So every other Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can catch
Yep.
us, catch this audio. It's always available too. So even if you are able to turn your notifications on YouTube, and again, follow us on Instagram. We are definitely going to follow back, and we will all
Yes.
be seeing you soon and hearing
Yes,
from you soon.
yes. I'm excited to hear from our women of Exodus. Ladies, in preparation for our next episode, talk to us. Get on our platforms. What is beautiful enough? What is your definition of beautiful? We want to hear from you because we want to talk about it, and we're going to get into beauty comparisons on our next episode. So, and how that affects us and how we present as women as well. So,
So
I'm here
until
for it.
next time, we love y'all. Peace.